right. Hey, welcome to Potato Water Thursday podcast time. Guess who we have in the house? Sue Contini. Sue, I always want to say Sue J. Brian Contini is in the house.
Go.
I don't know where the J comes from, but
That's my middle name.
What's your middle name? Your middle name is Brian is your maiden name.
It's my maiden name, but I use it as my middle name.
What is your middle name?
It's Jennifer.
Oh, it is J.
It is.
Oh, maybe I know that from the airline tickets or whatever.
Yeah, 1960-ish.
Ish.
Classic first name and middle name.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And maiden name Brian? Where's that from?
It's from my dad.
Wow. That is revealing news, folks.
It is. It's a little Irish, Scottish, the UK, and the Philippines.
The Philippines?
My dad's born in Manila.
You're kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he is.
Wow. And thus, here we go.
There we go.
Let's tell some Army brat stories, because you're an Army brat.
Army brat and a half. What would you like to know?
Where were you born?
Chilliwack, BC.
That's so funny. Like, I totally expected something.
Chilliwack, BC, and we were
How many places have you lived then?
Oh, so many. So many.
Have you lived in every province so far?
No, I have not lived in the eastern provinces past Quebec, and I haven't lived in Manitoba or Saskatchewan.
Oh, so like Ontario and Alberta, BC.
Ontario, Alberta, BC, Quebec.
Oh, where did you live in Quebec?
Valcartier and Sainte-Thérèse. Army bases there.
All right. So what'd your dad do in the Army then?
He's a military engineer.
Ooh.
And he did Bailey bridges and very creative things, which is really neat. And he's an only child, and his mom was a professional artist. And your
grandma was a professional artist?
Yeah, she was. She was a weaver.
Did you know your grandma?
Very much. Kindred spirits.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. How cool is that?
Yeah, very neat. She was an invited exhibitor at Expo 67. She was really proud of it. She did coins submissions for the mint, just like Michelle. And,
that's awesome.
Really neat. And she was really into like florals. And she was, when I was a tiny, tiny kid and I used to take her drawings, she was always like so thrilled, and she would say, "Now just remember, dear, design, design, design." And I used to laugh like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But I get it now. Right?
It is design, design, design. That's all it ever is.
Yeah.
How to make a square interesting.
Yeah, she was very, very cool. She's a Slade School graduate.
What is that?
It's like an art school in England, my grandma.
Oh.
And she...
Like the band Slade.
Yeah, she has a very famous story of riding in the 1920s or 30s in a nude body stocking through the streets of London as Lady Godiva. Yeah, she was like way wilder than I will ever be.
Well, that's awesome. So then what'd your mom do?
My mom has been in healthcare from the beginning of time. My mom is the smartest human being I've ever met. Oh, she has multitudinous university degrees, and she's great. Her last job was a crisis counselor in the hospital system in Ontario.
Yeah, awesome.
So she's like really...
Well, we might as well go down this road a little further. Tell me all about your brothers and sisters and the two monkeys and the parrot.
My brother works for Microsoft.
Ooh.
He does.
In Canada, or is he in the States?
No, he's in Canada, and my sister works in healthcare like my mom. My sister's an occupational therapist.
And so what do they think about our crazy sister artist person?
There's a term that is used in our family called black sheep.
Oh.
You know, because in Australia, where my mom is from, there's a lot of sheep. And so the black ones are really treasured. Or really unusual, pick one.
Yes, right. Yeah. The odd duck, right?
So my mom's Australian, and
your mom's Australian. How have I been working with you for 20 years and I don't know this?
I don't know.
Wow, I gotta ask more questions.
My mom's she's Australian.
Australian,
yeah.
So have you been to Australia?
Absolutely.
How come you don't bring in painted didgeridoo?
I don't know, but I have a
That's as much as I know about Australia.
Beautiful piece in my hallway from one of the lost tribes in Australia, an Aboriginal art piece from Australia. It's gorgeous.
Cool. Nice.
Pretty cool.
All right.
I had to paint the wall orange behind it.
Just so it would work.
No, you know what? No, because it deserved it.
I love it.
Pretty neat.
Excellent. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Sue, this is Sue. So I don't ever remember how we met or where we met, but Sue, so for those of you who have not been on one of our workshops that we do, Sue is the most amazing, innovative, creative, wonderful, think ahead person that I've ever met who will willfully, I don't know why, clean up the messes that I go forth and make. And I say, we're going to go do this. And she goes, okay. And I make a mess of it and she cleans it up and makes sure it all happens. And at the very end, she hands me a pile and goes, here's all your receipts. We made no money, but we had a lot of fun. Yay. I'm sorry. And why she keeps coming and showing up is beyond me. But we've done some 15 workshops together and every one of them has been fantastic. And, you know, slight plug for us. We're going to Halifax this year. So, you know, it's September, we're going to Halifax and we're going to paint tugboats and sailboats and weird Halifaxian things. And anyways, we're going to Lunenburg's and lighthouses and churches and whatever, but we're going. So get on board because it's already half sold out. So we're on. I know, I don't know why you keep going, but you are the most amazing person because you are the most creative and innovative thinker that, you know, I come back from a workshop, we're teaching all day and I'm tired and I'm freaking out about, I don't know where we're going to go tomorrow. And I don't know how did today go? And like, was everybody okay? And like, oh my God, I don't know where we're painting tomorrow. And then you go, oh no, we're going here and we're doing this and I have lunch and then we're doing that after. And I'm like, oh, thank God you're here. It's so good.
And it's mom mode.
Yeah, kind of a little bit.
But you know what? It's so fun. We have the best time, and we're such a good team.
Well, we seem to think
you're
on the
extroverted, and I'm introverted, and you are good in front of people, and I'm good helping everybody who's crying. And
but the thing I love about you is that you never freak out, even though we're having a disaster in the background. You never freak out, and we always seem to pull it together.
You just never see it.
Well, you never let me see it, but whatever. You seem to be always like it's all good. Every one of them works out. It's all good.
It's adventure. It's roll with it-ism.
It is.
And that is the coolest thing because it doesn't matter what happens, what goes sideways, there's always opportunity. And
that's you. Opportunity. You find those opportunities.
Do you. And we have such a good time doing
but
these things.
Like, I don't know how we get somewhere, and I'm looking going, I don't think there's anything to paint here. I'm starting to freak out. And the next thing I know, we're on a Scotch tour, and then we're on a boat, then we go to a gallery, and then we're painting in the most coolest place ever. And I'm like, I don't know where you found all this. But you drive around, and your radar goes off and goes, we could go there. And you, I love you, because right away you're like, I'll call them right now. Hi, we're going to come in your gallery, and we're going to drink wine, and we're going to have a talk.
We are.
And they're like, yay, okay. And you're like, it's the best. I love it. Anyways, okay, so let's go back to you now. Do you remember the first painting you ever sold?
I do. The first painting I ever sold was to my grandma. I was probably about 5 years old. And when she passed away, in the things that came to me was that painting.
Do you still have it?
I do, somewhere.
Isn't that awesome?
It's pretty. It's a little watercolor. It's the loosest thing I have ever painted in my life. It's really funny. But high school was a huge deal for me because just out of happenstance, we ended up in Ottawa when I was in high school, and I got to be in the same city for the whole time. And that was 5 years back in the day. So guess how old we are. But that was amazing. We happened to live near this high school that was just starting this thing. And we got 2 periods of art, 2 periods of music every single day. Our days were so long. We'd go in there in the morning. We'd have band in the morning. We'd have art twice in the day, band after school, and orchestra at lunch. And
Now, wait, do you play an instrument? No. You don't? Well, we'll get to your kids in a minute, but.
So I played the French horn for a really long time.
That's always
and it's because I tried to play the flute, and please don't laugh. I tried to play the flute, and I have too much hot air, and I used to pass out. And it was the worst. So French horn it was, and it was because it was a real challenge, and it required a whole lot of diaphragm. So it's really it's a beautiful instrument. Had a super great time, and I loved it. But when we got
Sorry.
yeah, fix it. When we got to that was amazing because art, we had one of our teachers in high school was a guy named John Topelko, and he had a beard like yours, and he wore gumboots all day long, and he was this like kind of casual guy who'd walk the hall, but he was a printmaker, and we had an etching studio in the high school. We got to use all the chemicals, do all the things. And
I remember, folks, this is 1937.
yeah, 1926. So we had amazing opportunities. So this school was trying hard to kind of be the forerunner of those schools of the arts that you see now. And it was amazing. So I got to paint or draw and do things. And it's neat because when you're somebody who's always the new kid, there was something there was belonging there. My people were there.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. And it's so neat, but you think, oh yeah, I draw, I do stuff, and it's okay. But when you're in a place where there's tons of people who do it, and all of a sudden you get some recognition.
Yes, absolutely.
That was amazing. And
and you must have been the new kid on the block a lot.
All the time. All the time.
Do you think that is, I know it's funny, you go, I'm introverted. I don't think you're introverted at all, but whatever. But
I'm an extroverted introvert.
Yes, you are. But do you think that caused that? Or
I think, it has a lot to do with it. I learned really early on to be really good at being on the edge of things. And so like groups and community is not comfortable for me. I'm really good with people I'm close to.
And yet you run everybody's classes and you take care of everybody, and you have 97 children that you take care of, and
98,
and you're in everything. And you're probably in this city the most sought after art educator for the public school system, other than Chester. And you are Chester Lees, and you're
Chester actually gave me my start at that. The wonderful Chester Lees. I met her.
She's an angel.
She's amazing.
She's sent from another heaven somewhere, because she has taken care of so many people. But you are her now, and so sought after.
She's been amazingly wonderful for that in my life. I met her at the Glenbow Museum one time when I was doing Life with Emily Carr kind of a thing. They had a big Emily Carr exhibit at the Glenbow.
I remember that,
And there was a sketch group where you could go on Thursday nights, and I went with my great friend Marnie McCormick, and we would go down and we would sketch the Emily Carr paintings. You could get like right up in them. It was phenomenal.
Right.
And Chester, though, played Emily Carr. They had hired her as an actor.
Oh, she could totally be Emily Carr.
And to walk around and be grumpy and like snark at everybody while they were working. And she's the one, we got to know each other and then got to know each other again through that. And so she's been really amazing at helping me in the school system. So
you're teaching like 8,000 children in one school right now.
Right now, yeah. We're doing a weaving program. And it is so fun. It's a kindergarten to grade 4 group. And
how many kids?
300 and some. And we're weaving the story of our lives. And so my grandmother was a weaver. And I used to go there in the summertime. So she was a weaver and a potter and a painter.
Did she have a loom?
She did. It was so big that when she left her house, she had to leave it behind. She had a kiln in the basement of her house. And when she left that house, she had to leave it behind. Amazing. So she was a weaver long time. And I used to go in the summers, and my brother would go off and he'd do pony riding at the stables and things near with my grandma's friends. And I got to go and weave stuff and do art. And
then her son grows up to be a structural engineer, a bridge builder.
He is a super creative guy, though. My dad's way of thinking is always out of the box. And he's 88 now. And he used to do things like find fabric on the side of the road and make cover for the stereo set, stuff like that. We were always like dealing with Dad's creations. But he went to Vietnam as a peacekeeper for the United Nations when I was about 10. And he was there for like 6 months. I have no idea, because when you're 10, you have no idea. But he used to write us letters. Do you remember that airmail paper that was blue?
Oh, yeah, totally remember that. Yeah.
And his letters would come to the family, but in the margins of those letters, he would draw things that he had seen. So in Thailand and places where he'd had to go, there were like drawings of this.
That's super cool. Do you have some of those?
My mom has them.
All right.
And it's really cool because I don't remember a word he said, but I always remember the drawings.
Wow, yeah, you would, right? Visual, neat. Very visual, for sure.
Yeah, my granny made a table with tile. And the coffee table at my parents' house is illustrated with the story of my dad's life.
That's awesome.
Riding on a little pony and, all of these cool things. And it's all like sepia glaze on these cream-colored tiles. And it's fascinating, highly inappropriate now. Some of the games that my dad and his friends would play. But
everything's inappropriate these days.
Yeah, it's like...
You can't do crap now, I tell you.
Yeah, not really. It's not exactly...
My vocabulary has dwindled drastically in what I'm allowed to use and say. Yeah, some people say thank you. Whatever. I'm just not quite old enough where I can start using them again and going, shut up, I'm old. I try.
And shut up, I'm old is just no good anymore.
No, nobody's old anymore. No. Holy cow.
What is it? 80 is the new 40.
It is. It's absolutely... Goodbye, blue hair. Nobody has blue hair anymore. I used to be able to know when you were a blue hair.
They do it on purpose. I'm going to be a blue hair one day.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I've been a blue hair before.
Of course, yes.
I was younger now.
Yes. Okay, so let's go through this quickly because I don't know why I'm on this family thing, but before we get to all your art and all your creativity and all your most wonderfulness, you have like 37 children and every one of them is like amazingly artistic. And I just think I'm amazed that you got every one of these kids to be so artistic and that you just raised them in such a cool environment. And they're all good kids. You have 4 kids.
I have 4 kids, and they are all amazing. They grew up the way they grew up. And, we didn't have much, and they grew up the way they grew up. And when you
know what? I've been in your house, so you know what the best thing is? Like, you go to Sue's house, and when you go in, you walk in the front door, and there's paintings everywhere. You walk into the kitchen, and right across from the kitchen is an art studio / living room that has art going on all the time. Everything in your house is art. It's artistic. It's arty. Your kids grew up around art. Everything was art. And when you
Except for the basement, that's where the hockey bags are.
Oh yeah, and the golf bags, and yeah, we'll get to Mike in a minute. But I remember when Bronwyn used to come to class, and you'd tell her, "Oh, we're going to do this today," and Bronwyn would, "No, I'm doing this, and I'm going to do this," and she was like always doing. You had her in class all the time. And so what's Bronwyn doing now?
Bronwyn is finishing up at the University of Victoria. She is almost graduating, maybe middle of next year, and she is a geophysicist. And
what?
I know. And she is probably one of the most creative people who I've ever met. She will find a shirt somewhere and just go, I'm changing that. And she gets out her gear, and the next thing you know, she's rocking this outfit that she has
rocking the outfit
put together. I know. Ha!
For those of you who didn't get that, anyways.
She is a hugely creative person. She's amazing. And
Thanks, Mom.
yeah, no, you know what? It's her. And
Oh, no, it's both of you.
No, you know what? They just always had opportunity to do stuff. And we tried
because
to
of
give
Mom.
them opportunity and Dad. They had opportunity.
Oh, of course, Dad never complained. He just towed the line.
No.
He'd just close his eyes and go. He just in the day he'd go whatever, I'm going golfing, and then at night he'd be like, oh, this again. Okay, I'm going to play hockey. I'm out.
No, not in our house.
And if he's not doing that, he's making meatballs. So
he's a good cook, thank God. I was telling Ryan earlier that thank God for Mike, because otherwise everybody would starve in our house. Because
all they'd eat is bread.
Cooking is not something I'm
Bread's your
creative at.
thing.
Yeah, bread is really cathartic.
It is.
It is.
You've made me fat on your bread. Thank you very much. Okay,
way.
kid number 2. So we'll go from youngest to oldest.
Kid number 2 is Griffin, and
he can't even have a normal name, right?
Oh no, the Italians
kind of like, my kid is Ed.
The Italians didn't like that. So Griffin Contini, when Griffin was born, my father-in-law, Griffin, what the hell kind of a name is that? and you know, we laugh. He was a feisty guy. That was a tough pregnancy, and he came out, and that was that. He's a feisty guy. He's a teacher, and he teaches outdoor education in Crow's Nest Pass.
He does,
and he is so creative. He does woodwork, and he loves soapstone carving so much that our dear friend Vance Thierry has influenced this young man to the ends of the earth, and Griffin is teaching basic soapstone carving to the kids who come to his outdoor ed program. So
love
there's
it.
endangered trout in Crow's Nest Pass, and the kids come and they get to do soapstone carvings of these trout. So with all of the scraps, thank you, Swintons, plug for the store. Thank you, Swintons, for soapstone.
Well, thank Vance. Thank Vance because he brings all his scraps and donates them to us, which we in turn donate to the schools to use. So
great.
Go Vance.
So and so he's a brilliant guy. He is.
Oh, isn't he brilliant? He's just a big old giant teddy bear.
Kindest man.
He is kindest, most gentlest, quiet. He's you. He is exactly you because he is an introvert that lives on the edge. He doesn't say much. He never talks, but he organizes stuff. And I don't know, like for those of you who don't know Vance, look up Vance and his soapstone sculptures, and he teaches at the store. But he hangs out with John Einerson. Look up John Einerson too, because John Einerson is me. Yep. Blah blah blah. Oh, let's go drinking. Oh, we're doing this, and Vance is all like, oh, so quiet. But then Vance keeps John in order and cleans up the mess.
It's behind him. It's an excellent pairing.
It is.
Yep.
Those two are
Absolutely.
those. They are. Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's totally true.
Okay. Kid number 3.
So Quinn comes next. Quinn comes next. Quinn is 6 years older than Griffin, and Quinn.
Ooh, that big gap in there.
Big gap in there, and we thought.
Was this a purposeful gap, or was this a?
Is anything in life purposeful?
Well, I don't know. Is this the? Mike, I think I should have another child.
No. We were walking through Fish Creek Park one day.
Oh, I don't want to know how it happened. Let's not get that specific.
It wasn't in Fish Creek Park, but Quinn was about, I don't know, 5, and it was like, oh, great, this is fantastic. One boy, one girl, one for each hand. They can both swim. And
Yes.
They can both ride 2-wheelers. I was 10 weeks pregnant. I had no clue.
Oh my God, really?
There you go. Yeah. I'm a bit naive that way. So we had.
How do you not know? You're like 11 pounds. Wet.
I'm not. I don't know. I think I was just really busy and I wasn't paying attention.
Wow.
So,
all right.
So that's how that happened. But Quinn is 6 years older than Griffin, and he is a brilliant guy. He's in.
Well, tell him what he does.
He's in theater in Edmonton. He's an
Again?
improviser with this fantastic crew called Marvin Berry and Rapid Fire Theater. You want to see some amazing improvising, and the Edmonton Fringe Festival. He's very involved in that. He's genius, and he's a daddy, and he has a little guy who's 1 year old, which makes me a really old grandma.
Yeah, because you're so
and
old. Yeah.
That little boy is brilliant. He's just started walking, and he's so cute. Oh, my word. And then our oldest is also married, and she's a musician. massage therapist, and she's a brilliant singer. We will plug Dwayne Gretzky, who we're going to be in Calgary on the 25th of March, I think, at Dixon's, and fun group, but she won't be there because she's expecting baby number 2.
Yeah, well.
And so she is.
But her band, name her band.
The Au Pairs is one of the bands.
And been all over the radio.
Yeah.
And backup singer for?
Royal Wood and Bonnie.
Royal Wood.
And she has been on stage opening for Bonnie Raitt, and she's got to sing with David Crosby and all kinds of cool things.
Right?
Yeah.
So hello, Mom,
but
that makes this happen.
No, I didn't make that happen. She made it happen. But
you made her and gave her life, then she got it. Come on, Mom, take some ownership. You love it. It's
really
awesome.
Cool. She played the bassoon, so she in her world, she's like
French horn and bassoon.
She's like her geeky mom. Griffin also played the French horn.
Oh, right. We could have had a band.
I know. And Griffin and Quinn are both drummers.
Wow.
So
there you go.
A drum kit still in our basement that we've converted to coffee tables just because we're not really ready to get rid of it yet. So, that's how they roll. So, yeah, we have the kids are amazing. They are the best thing that I ever got to contribute to.
Awesome. I love to hear it. I love to hear it.
And I'm so proud of them all. They're amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. So
and they can all draw because we made sure of that.
Well, that's just a thing. They were just around it so much that, they wouldn't, you probably didn't have a choice.
We have their art all over the house.
I'm surprised because Mike's Italian. They probably made the best macaroni statues ever.
No,
macaroni frames.
They're all really well schooled in gnocchi.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they know how to make that. All of them.
Excellent. So we'll take one brief step to Mike. We got to talk about Mike because he's a god. Chef of all time.
He is. Michele Luciano.
And he just runs around and does everything for you and follows you. And I know you put up with his hockey and his golf and whatever because he has his things. But honestly, how long you been married?
34 years.
Right? Love it.
Almost 30.
How long you been in the same house?
In the same house?
Yes. In that house?
In that house? I don't know.
You live in Mount Royal on the top of the hill.
Yeah, right, we do. Yeah, for sure we do. No, you know what? We were together for about, I want to say, a year and a half maybe before we got married. It wasn't very long. And he's amazing. In the first half of our marriage, our partnership, I did a whole lot of supporting for him. And now he is so supportive of me because the kids are gone. The kids don't live at home. The kids are all well on their way. And I've been doing way more of my thing. So
let's talk about that now.
Amazing.
Yeah. So he does support you. And
he sure does.
Between 7 rounds of COVID, breaking your arm, falling down, and giving him COVID 11 times, and him driving you everywhere.
He gave it to me both times.
Yeah. So he has been very supportive. But what are you finding now? You have time to paint for the first time. You really, it's Sue time. Is this it? Are you finding Sue time?
Finding Sue time. I have had more and more opportunity for my own work for a while now. And it's really, really interesting. I just had this fantastic opportunity to do a gigantic jury. I was invited to do jurying for this big national organization.
Well, can you tell them what it is? Go ahead.
It was Society of Canadian Artists International show. And I was astounded and at the quality of the work that's out there in this world. And there are artists who have the most amazing technical ability and ingenuity and that magical sprinkling of something like you couldn't call it anything other than unicorn dust because it's been what a motivator because replication is one thing and technical excellence is one thing, but to be able to bring something to what you do that is magical, that resonates with somebody's gut and they don't know why. There were paintings in that show, in that there were 700 and some pieces.
So you had to jury 700 pieces of art.
Painting, sculpture, every possible genre. And what I saw and what I learned from that, my big takeaway for me is it doesn't sometimes matter how technically excellent you are, how well you know your medium and what you can do with it almost matters more, but how you can, through design and composition and the choices that you make with what you produce, how you can add this layer of something that you can't even articulate. So
Yes, I hear you. I hear you.
That's kind of the new goal, to figure out why I do what I do.
Well, that's the one thing that all these people talk about, AI and artificial intelligence, that it can duplicate so much stuff, but and it's learning how to create its own thing to a degree. But the one thing it really can't do is it can go back and go, here's everything that we've had, but it doesn't have a thing for it to put in. It doesn't have its own thing. That's where the art is, that the person, like Alex Fong said to me one time, the killer watercolors from Kelowna, I took many workshops from him early on when I was painting in watercolor.
Oh, I love him.
And I said,
he's a dot man.
do you know the dot story?
I don't know the dot story, but I love
Remind
it.
me to go back to the dot story, because I should tell the dot story. But I said to him one time something about, I don't know how to paint. I don't know what I do. I just paint. I just fucking paint. And he goes, well, that's the whole thing, is you just paint. That's all you ever do. Paint, just paint. And I said, but I don't know who I am. And he goes, but then people would say to me, oh, I'd know your paintings anywhere. I'm like, how would you know my paintings? They don't look like anything. And Alex Fong said to me, I said, well, I kind of do a little of this guy and a little of this guy. He goes, but Alex Fong said, everybody does that. Everybody I took a workshop, I learned this from that guy. I learned this from her. I learned this from him. I learned this from her. And he said, that's all good. You put it in a bag and you shake it up. But he goes, the one thing that no one else can duplicate is, because you're going to put you in that bag too. And when you shake it up, that you mixes in and makes it different than anything else, and you become you. Yes, you have a little bit of everybody, but you have you. And when he said that, I was like, oh, I never thought of that. And he said, the brushes you choose, the colors you choose, though you may start a painting like Ed and end up with a painting with a little bit of Mary, it's still you, because of the brushes, the paper, everything, your life. You can't get away from it. You will always be you. And I loved that. I was like, I was at that point so much more confident that I'm not worried about a style. I'm just me. It's just the way I am. And your style is always evolving anyways, right? It's always evolving.
I hear that all the time. I really want a style like this person.
Yeah.
And
It's
like,
always,
well,
can you help me get a style?
That style question is out there over, you know what? And the thing that gets added to the bag of all that knowledge that you learn over time is your own signature. Like, replicating somebody else's signature is virtually impossible. And so when you bring your own handwriting into the equation, that's the thing that makes you you. And that's really a cool thing to see.
Absolutely it is. I was told by someone that said, we're getting old again here. Remember when we did stick and ball printing in grade 1, and then in grade 2 you had to learn cursive writing. This is the greatest thing, because I think that you and I could write secret notes to each other in cursive writing, and not one kid could ever figure out what we're writing. They'd be like, some kind of code. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Anyways, when we went to cursive writing, no teacher ever said to you, okay, children, when you do your cursive writing, make sure you develop your own style so that you have your own handwriting and no one can, you'll recognize your handwriting. They never told you that ever. You just went ahead and your handwriting was your handwriting. You can't help it. It's just your brush marks will be your brush marks. Your stuff will be your stuff. Your style will come because you are you.
Yep. And you only get marks for legibility. You got to be able to read it.
Well,
and
I'm left-handed, right? Welcome. I'm left-handed, so the book always had to be tilted, and the binder was in the way, and my hand was always this way, and I always got... My son's left-handed too. He never got shit for nothing, because I was always like, Put this on the angle and better be on the right slant. And oh my God, the teachers would hound me and forever. And I remember my art teacher in grade 4 saying to me, yeah, well, don't worry about it. Leonardo da Vinci was left-handed too, but he wrote with his right hand and he wrote backwards to compensate for that. And I was like, he wrote this way with 2 hands. I'm like, oh my God. Like,
validation time.
Yes. So hang on. I'm just going to go real quick down this road. Because I love Alex Fong, you can put up a little link to Alex Fong because he's a god.
He's also a really good cook.
He's a fantastic chef, absolutely. But the dots, he puts dots in his painting. And I'm gonna say this story because I think it's important to the world out there of what he did. Now, Alex, if I get this story wrong, I apologize, but this is how I remember it.
Quote him on it, Alex.
Yeah, BC province came to him and said, the BC provincial games, we would like you to do the poster for it. And he said, oh my God, what a fantastic honor. I'd love to do that. So he did this fantastic poster of all these people playing games, watercolor, fantastic. And if you know Alex Fong, what she says, the dot, he calls them confetti. He paints with confetti. So what he does is he puts little masking fluid dots all over his paints, all over his painting. And when it's done, he takes them off and he puts little funky colors in. So all of his paintings have this, like I say, magical unicorn dust that's on them that is so Alex Fong. And without it, it would not be an Alex Fong whatsoever. So he took the painting, he gave it to BC, and they said, oh my God, this is fantastic. This is the best poster we've ever had. Lose the dots, and we're good to go. And he's like, excuse me? And he said, lose the dots, and we're good to go. He goes, I don't lose the dots. I am the dots. They go, well, no, whatever. Just lose the dots. No, I don't lose the dots. Well, if you don't lose the dots, you don't get the poster. Bye-bye. So he did not get the poster.
He didn't turn him into volleyballs.
He did volleyballs, Alex. No, he did not. As far as I know, he didn't do the poster. And when the poster came out, it was hideous. It was terrible poster. His poster was 100 times better. I'm pretty sure they're kicking themselves now. But the point is, Alex is Alex. He knew his style. He's doing his thing, and he did not back down. Go, Alex. He stuck to his guns. That's who he is, and he was. He didn't compromise. I love it. Go, Alex. Anyway, sorry. That's a sidebar, but I love that story.
That's a great story. That's a great story. It's hard not to, change who you are to get the business.
Well, and it's hard to... It would be wonderful to be... Well, I don't even know how to phrase this. To say, I don't change who I am because this is what I do. But for me, I don't care. I'm going to get to you in a sec. But for me, I'm like, I don't even know what I do. Half the time I'm doing this and that. I'm all over the goddamn map. I don't know. Sometimes I shake my head and go, the hell did that come from? But what I want to know is because we all know Sue Contini is the queen of negative painting.
No, I'm not the queen.
You absolutely are.
No.
Oh my God, yes. You. Oh, look behind you. Look behind you, and these aren't even the negative paintings. She couldn't bring any. These are good paintings, but the really good ones are in the gallery, and she couldn't get them because she brought some, and then the gallery owner came today to the store and said, "I want that, and that," and she took them all away, and she went, but, and they went away to the gallery because they're smart, but now. You may not think this. You are the queen of negative painting. But I want to know, that's a long road to get there. But you have really developed a style and see things differently than others. And I love it. But now you're at the point where you could say, no, I don't do that because this is what I do. But have you seen this development? Do you know when there was there a point when you went, I'm on this edge, I'm going this way now?
I have no idea. I think that I have had amazing opportunities to work with some of the best painters this country has. Thank you to Louise Hall when I was younger.
Leading Edge
art workshops. When I was younger, I didn't have a ton of money for education, and somehow I met Louise.
Oh, and guess what? Oh, I'll run your workshops for you, and then I'll sit on the fence and just hide behind here, but I'll take care of everything behind. Again, there's you doing it again.
But I got to work with some of the most amazing painters, but in acrylic. But there are people like Mike Svob and Michael O'Toole, Linda Kemp. Thank you, Linda. If you're out there listening to this ever, you are a goddess. She is the most amazing negative painter I have ever met. And we don't paint the same way, but she, over COVID, had a critique group with her daughter, Jamie, and she has like been such an amazing advocate and supporter for me.
That's
and
awesome. I love it.
You have been an amazing advocate and supporter of me. And it's funny how you kind of settle into a thing that you do and you think, oh, why do I do it that way? Well, I don't know. I'm fascinated by the way the paint goes down. I love to kind of make a big mess and turn it into something. That kind of order from chaos idea and just finding stuff. I'm really intuitive, and I like to just play with the paint. And I have a challenge every single time another painting comes my way. It's like, okay, what's the palette this time? I'm going to play with these 3 colors for the next month and see what they do. And so that kind of stuff always keeps me interested. And watching other painters do their thing, I'm entranced all the time.
It's so awesome watching
does
other.
something cool. And people always say, well, how come you do what you do? Well, I don't ever think I had a choice. I don't think I ever knew how to do anything else. I tried to be a banker once.
I remember that story.
I tried to be a fitness instructor once. I tried to, be in marketing for this great big company out of Toronto, and that worked really well until I got married and got pregnant, and they just wanted me to devote my life to this thing. But I always worked with young people who are fearless, and little kids are fascinating. They don't care. They're just, I want to do this, and this is fun, and they don't
know any different. I love it. They don't. It's like whatever Picasso said about if you could just go back to being a 4-year-old, right? And if you could have all the knowledge of all the painting and how to use it and be 4 years old, it's just oh my God, it's so good.
It's amazing. And teaching kids from the get-go, I think probably was the catalyst for me. That's how I made it work when I had little kids myself. And then the babies used to come to you. Remember, they used to come to class?
Absolutely,
they
did.
Sit in the bucket, the baby seat underneath the chair. There's a painting
between that
Eric
and dogs and oh my God,
Yep.
You always had someone tagging along. You managed to make everything happen, art, and still be mom.
Figure it out. And
Erica, say Erica.
I've got a painting in my house done by the amazing Erica Newman of me when I was probably 2 days before I had the last baby, my last baby Bronwyn. And I'm there and I'm painting God knows what. And Erica painted me with this huge belly on me.
Is that awesome?
It's awesome. It is a treasure.
And again, only Erica would walk in a room and go, oh my God, that's a painting. With Sue and her big belly and being an artist,
big belly. And so the joke between us all then was I wanted to do, because it was going to be the last baby, I was going to do a belly cast. You know how people...
Oh, yes, of course. Did you do the belly cast?
So, no, I didn't do the belly cast because we had this conversation in the class and it was hysterical. We were all laughing, like, a belly cast. What are you going to do with that? Nachos and dip?
I love it.
Yeah,
that's
okay.
fantastic.
Like, do I
you give it to Bronwyn?
Do I really
and
want
tell her
that
this is your nacho and dip platter?
Yeah,
and then everyone would eat out of it until someone finds out, well, that's actually my pregnant. That was my mom's belly, and then everybody's like, I don't want any nachos anymore.
Treasure this painting by Erica on my wall. I owe her thousands of dollars, I'm sure, for that now, but it's like just
that's crazy good.
Yeah, I've got this little collector wall in my house, in my work area, and there's this
a collector wall. Your whole house is a collector of paintings.
Beautiful little painting of yours, and I treasure it. The shadows on that building are so amazing. I have this amazing little portrait of a girl in hair rollers by Chantel Barber.
Oh, isn't that great?
That reminds me of my oldest daughter who had a stint Irish dancing and had to wear those dang curlers in her hair forever. And it's a beautiful little profile. I've got one by the amazing plein air painter Teresa Williams.
Oh, she's so good too, yes.
Trade. She's amazing. And I absolutely love that.
I know, it's like, don't you love having like, I put my paintings up and all I do is like, oh my God, that's got to go. That tree is stupid and oh my God. Ugh. I put everybody else's up and I'm like, oh my God, I love that. And I love that. And I love everybody else's art so much.
Me too, so much. And, you know, I always think, like, this is not a career that you pick if you want to be
I think you're right.
And it's not a career that you pick if you want to be famous.
Oh, no, not at all.
And for me,
I don't even know that you pick this career. I think this career picks you.
I think it does.
It comes to you and says, I'm sorry, you're not going to be rich and you may never be famous, but you're always going to be, you're going to be frustrated and you're going to want to poke your eye out with a brush.
Yeah, and
but you know what?
Annoyed.
But you know that you're doing the thing you should be still doing, because anything else, I may be the most frustrated artist on the planet, like I said, that wants to stick a brush end through his eye, but I'm not a banker. Sorry, all you bankers out there, but I'm still not a banker. Thank God.
Michael O'Toole once said to me that it's not a career, it's not something that you're going to get worse at over time.
Good quote.
And I love that. That's amazing, because you don't. You observe and you watch and you build your skills. And yeah, you go down tunnels of suckage. But you also find things that make you more who you are. And I don't know,
but don't you find out you go down these tunnels and you do this and you like this, and these like I said, Chantel Barber, these weird people sort of start showing up. They migrate to you and you migrate to them, and you get a network of absolutely amazing people that influence your life, and you've influenced people in your life, but it keeps
They're
going
all 4
on, and
years
they
old. They are 4 years old, and that's okay, because you know what? The school programs are such a great way to connect with that next generation.
Right.
And when you walk in the door, these little kids are like, "Oh, Miss Sue, I made a painting for you." And it's so crazy that they think about it. They remember what it is that you came with. And it's just opening kind of a creative door that they didn't have before, which is pretty neat.
Right? It is. Yeah. All right. Oh, there you go. Trash the joint. Don't worry. The producer's drinking.
Your students,
okay, who goes first?
Are amazing.
Who goes first?
You go first.
Rock, paper, scissors.
You go first.
I go first?
Yeah.
What's your sock drawer look like?
Oh, God. Are you serious?
Yeah. Do you have a sock drawer?
I do.
I just want to know, because you have like weird socks and weird, like you have like a lot of regular clothes, but man, some days you show up with the most unique stuff.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
It is very much a compliment.
It's where Bronwyn just rubs off on me, because there's this very cool guy in town. Have you met Steve Ginn ever before in your life? Steve is a guy, back in the day, I used to work as an educator at the Art Gallery of Calgary. And
I remember that gallery, sure.
And Steve,
wow, you worked there?
Yeah. I was an educator, and I would take school groups around the gallery, and we would have programs
Was that not like on
shows.
8th Avenue or something?
It was on Stephen Avenue. Yeah,
Stephen Avenue, yeah.
And there was this huge cement ball in front of the gallery.
That's right.
Beautiful old building. And we'd arrive there in the morning, and there was always refuse from the night before.
Yes.
Right by the door. We didn't know if it was going to be vomit, needles, it was all the stuff.
We all know it could be anything, yes.
So why was I talking about this?
Sock drawer. Bronwyn, sock drawer.
Steve Ginn, this amazing guy that I used to work with, used to approach the groups we were with, and he would say, "How many of you are artists?" And everybody would look at each other, and it's this blank look. And he said, "Well, did you get dressed this morning? Did you pick what shirt you were going to wear, what socks you were wearing, what pants you were wearing, whatever else you were wearing? Did you pick that stuff?" And they would all go, "Yeah, well, then you are artists because you made choices about how you were going to appear to the world today. And I thought, you know what, that's brilliant. And so sometimes in the morning when I get up, it's like, yeah, it's a day for orange pants, and that's how it's going to be. It's a day for blue glasses, and that's how it's going to be. And if I have to put a barrette on the top of my head because I don't want to be the age I am today, fine, that's what's going to happen. And socks are fantastic. And when I was teaching the kids, every day on a Saturday morning, I would go in with mismatched, stupid socks to see if they'd notice. And they started looking for it. And it's like, oh my God, why are you wearing that? And why are you wearing those? And it's got to a point where I have this beautiful friend. Every time she goes on a trip, she finds me a pair of socks. Teresa Sabiston, I love you. Always.
That's not saying much for the
so that's my
67 black T-shirts I have in my closet. Every day I'm an artist.
Guess what? They always match.
Black T-shirt.
Always match.
No, I only do that because I get paid on everything that I own, and I gave up hope long ago.
Everything I own.
Except for today, I'm wearing...
You're fine.
You're
fine. You're fine.
All right.
Everything I wear has paint on it.
All right.
Everything I own.
Great answer, by the way.
Thank you.
Ding, ding, ding. You get a ding, ding, ding for that.
That was a long answer, but...
Ding, ding, ding. No, it was good. That's good. Oh, hey, well, okay, you go. It's your go, lady. It's your go.
My go?
Yeah.
So I notice that a beautiful woman who we're both very attached to, we joke about when I do my rocks series, when I paint rocks and rivers and things like that. Rock looks like a potato. That rock looks like a potato. And we joke, she and I, about, oh, those are potato rocks. So you have affinity for potatoes too. So, like, what is it about potatoes? Potato water, potatoes, potatoes.
Oh, I don't know, like potatoes, mashed potatoes, scalloped potatoes, baked potatoes, French fries, vodka. The other vegetables aren't even trying.
They're not even trying. So, like,
seriously, like, come on. The lowly potato is doing all the work here, and all the veg, like, yeah, whatever.
It's better than wheat products.
It is by
and
far.
Barley products.
So my dad was a rum and coker, hardcore rum and coker. I grew up rye and coke. I didn't like the rum, a little too sugary. I liked rye and coke. I met a young lady who shall remain nameless, who still might be involved in my life. And the first night we went out, we drank beer. The second time we went out, she said, I actually don't like beer. I only drink beer because you drank beer and I was nervous. She said, I drink vodka and Coke. And I was like, vodka and Coke? Who would ever put, like, vodka in Coke? Like, I was more about ruining the Coke than I was the vodka. And she's like, no, you have to taste this. You have to taste this. I have rarely had a rye and Coke in the last 20 years now because
Amazing.
I was like, oh my God, it's so good. Less sugar. And now, for the most part, for what I drink, for those of you who know my potato water, it is vodka, but it's mostly vodka soda. And I put a little, and I'm a Pepsi. I should ask you that. Pepsi, Coke, or you whatever.
Pepsi?
I do. I'm a Pepsi guy for sure.
Oh, Quebec will love you more.
I'm still mad, hardcore mad at Coke for changing their formula and that. I've never forgiven them, so I went to Pepsi. My dad disowned me when I went to Pepsi, by the way, because he thought that was, like, weird. It's American and stupid. Like, my dad was always like, you drink Pepsi, you're a girl. He'd say that. In those days, it was like you could say that, but anyways, whatever. Okay. So I do love my potato water, yes. I do.
Potatoes. I'm so proud.
I do. And I do like potatoes.
I was always curious.
No, I do like a lot of potatoes. Like, I love French fries. I love a stuffed, my son, Douglas, best stuffed potato ever. Dougie, come on home, buddy. Make some stuffed potatoes. He makes the most killer stuffed potato.
I have a beautiful sister-in-law from Prince Edward Island.
Oh, PEI potatoes. There you go.
She's the queen of the double stuffed potato.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what Douglas does. Double stuffed potato, like baked. Yes, absolutely. Okay, here we go. So coffee in the morning? Is it?
Absolutely.
Right? First thing, don't talk to me before coffee. Don't even go there. Just, like, get me coffee.
If it was intravenous, it'd be even better.
right?
Yep.
And you got an Italian husband. Do we have the cappuccino? Do we have the froth? Do we have the I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. So
we have this humongous DeLonghi coffee machine in the kitchen, and it is we have these
is he coffee guy too?
We have these Italian friends who are also into it. But yeah, Mike's a coffee guy too. I cannot survive without it, but I'm also, just like potato water, very lightweight. So if I can't have more than 2 cups of coffee, and they have to be before noon, otherwise
you're up all night.
You hate me. I'm vicious. So yeah.
Okay.
Two only, yeah, coffee for sure.
All right.
For sure. Okay. So this question from me is a bit sentimental and personal. So no, tell me how you feel about whales. Do you remember?
Why are you going to do this to me? Why are you going to do this to me? Yes, I know exactly what you're saying.
Beautiful.
I do remember.
Yeah. Aren't they amazing? Do you remember that time when we were sitting on the deck at the Nimkish Inn, and our friend Andrea Cranmer from Alert Bay was talking about the Indigenous creation story of their community, and
her mom was there.
Yeah,
and
Atavera, and
God, how do you remember all these names?
Because I love them. That humpback whale just went.
Well, of course he goes
right behind them.
Of course, we have Indigenous people during this whole. Oh, they've buried babies in orange T-shirts, and we saw the orange T-shirt guy. What's his name? Shout out to him, Jonathan. Oh my God, that whole thing. And Al Duer was like set this. It was like the whole thing was amazing. But of course, here we have a lady trying to be very polite to us, explaining why the Indigenous they're feeling the way they're feeling, and we're absorbing this, and it's great. And her mom's telling stories about how they grew up and whatever. She's not worried about all that.
This is our second visit, though. Do you remember?
Yes, she's being daughter's being political. Mom's being like, "Oh, we used to bang the drum," and all of a sudden, a whale blows his thing. I'm like seriously, fuck off. Are you kidding me? Like. This is like, no way. But, okay, so the whale story. Here's the whale story. We go whale watching, and I'm like on this stupid boat, and we're whale watching, whatever. Whatever. And the ladies...
It's freezing.
Yes, freezing. We're cold. You're in your little yellow Mickey Mac thing with the little...
yellow thing.
The hat, and we're like freezing. And then, anyways, we get out there, and they're talking about whales, and they're talking about orcas, and they're talking about all this stuff. And I'm cold. I'm like, thought they had food. Aren't we eating soup or something? I'm frozen. Anyways, I'm going to tear up. We get out there, and we saw whales. And for the first time in my life, like, first of all, I'm not even close to an ocean guy. All I ever say is, oh, whatever. How's the ocean? Still smell like whale pee? Yeah, whatever. It stinks. Whatever. I'm a stubble jumper. Anyways, we get out in the ocean, and we saw whales. And for the first time in my life, I saw this massively amazing creature, like an elephant, like a lion, but it's underwater, and it lives there. And I've been to the ocean a million times, but I forget. All this shit lives under there. And for the first time in my life, I'm like, you can't use a straw anymore. You have to take your straws away. I was like one of those guys for a minute. I was like, oh my God, I saw a whale. And the whole world was like, these creatures live all the time under here. They're there. And I was just like, and it wasn't even not the whale came out and splashed on the water or anything. I just saw a brief moment of a whale, and I was like, that fucking thing lives underwater. It lives there all the time. And we're riding around putting shit in the water. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And you looked at me and I teared up, and you're like, oh my God, he's going to cry. And I cried. And so I had a little...
We were both just absolutely overwhelmed.
I was gobsmacked with the whole thing.
Gobsmacked. Magnitude of this being. It was amazing. It was
it's the most incredible thing in the world.
Absolutely magical thing. And just the fact that we could be on this deck talking art with 25 people about, maybe you should make your darks a little darker.
I know.
And then these beautiful women come and speak to us. And the whale is like, honestly, how far behind her? You think 10 meters? It was like so close.
They're just right there.
And the channel's not very big. And why it was in there, I have no idea. It was like Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez,
Oh my God.
I know. It's just like
That was super
else.
cool. That was super
It was
cool.
one of the
All right.
coolest things we've experienced together.
Yeah. And that was even the second time we went too.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And it was just, I thought, oh, we're going back. We've done this before. Sometimes going back is like a little, it wasn't as fun. The second time was even more magical than
so
the first.
cool.
It was. Okay.
There's something extra.
That was Alert Bay.
neat.
For those of you who don't know, Alert Bay.
Yeah, Alert Bay is
it's a
amazing.
fantastic thing. And thank you, Victoria, for, giving us that. And
Shout out
Invermere.
Victoria Page.
Yes.
You know what? Every time we go somewhere, there's something cool like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's something cool like that.
We've had the most amazing experiences together. You and I
Yeah.
have definitely had, something happens when we're together and we find these people. Even when we went to Gibson's, the people we were with at Gibson's and that guy with he's got he makes vodka. I mean, how do you find a place that we stay at a house and he goes, oh yeah, I have a distillery. I make my own vodka. I'm like, well, I already love you. And he was from the United States and he films movies and he played blues guitar, and I'm like, oh my God, where do you find these people?
I don't know.
It's just whatever we have.
They show up, and it's like when you open yourself up to opportunity, interesting things happen.
It does. You have to be open and ready, and just be open.
Got to be ready for it.
Okay, last question.
Go, man, go.
Have you ever had, or do you remember in your life, like a breakout moment or a moment where you went, oh my God, I get it, or I'm going there, or this is, I'm going to do this, or I'm going and I'm just not looking back?
Nope, not ever. And I think because I tend to be a little mousy, a little neurotic, a little anxious, my go-to thinking off the bat is, this is not good enough. This is never going to get me where I want to go. And that's really honest.
Do you know where you want to go?
I want to go where I go. And I think this is where maturity and life and a little life experience kind of like gets you. I'm going to end up where I do. And opportunities present themselves. And I had a year when I was feeling very scared and chicken a few years ago, where our beloved Michelle Grant, we were kind of having a chat, and she says, it'd be really cool to have a year where you have to say yes to every single opportunity that comes your way, and you cannot chicken out, and you cannot say no. You can't just like go, I don't know, I can't do that. I'm just really, because I get really nervous, and I can talk myself out of just about everything. And so I spent a whole year where if an opportunity was there, I had to take it. I had to say yes. And I did it. And I overwhelmed myself and probably made a mess of the bed a couple of times, But it was really eye-opening, because in the big picture, the person who cares most about those kind of risks is me. Nobody else gives a damn. Nobody cares. And you can completely make an idiot of yourself. And the world is, unless you're a certain politician from south of the border, the world isn't going to like jump up there and blow their trumpets and go, oh my God, she's an idiot. But it's a really good thing to kind of keep stepping forward and not. So no breakthrough moments. But that's okay, because my progression is kind of mine.
Yes, absolutely. It's always yours.
And I go at the pace that I go at. And so it's I'm kind of in this place where I'm kind of okay with that. It's all right. I could do better at a ton of things. I'm private. I'm introverted. I'm really great with people whom I know. I'm not so great with large groups of people who I don't know.
Yeah,
and
but you
to
are.
be out there and I'm good because I'm talking to you, but to be out there in the world, it's a different thing. And I'll get comfortable when I am, and that's all right too. I don't have to like paint all over myself.
Oh, no, you're good.
And be somebody different. I just am who I am, and I'll get where I'm going when I get there. And that's okay.
You're Sue Contini, and that's why we love you.
Rhymes with linguini.
Everybody, this is the greatest. Sue Contini, right there.
Rhymes with linguini.
You got another question? Or was it?
I have a question.
Okay, hang on. Okay, then, because you can edit this out.
It's,
But before we go...
It's almost a question
Okay,
for
but before
before.
we do that, I'm going to go. And then you'll edit this out, but I'll go. But it's like the thing... Well, all I can say is that the creator of Nike shoes, Phil Knight. Nike, whatever. Call it what you want. I do whatever. Phil Knight, his biggest thing was... Nike was always their motto. There is no finish line, right? You're always, the only competition is you, and there is no finish line.
There is no finish line.
There isn't. You're going to go forever. And when you're a runner like that, you don't worry about anything. You worry about you, and that's it. And that's what art is. It's not a competition. You're only in competition with yourself to be a better painter. And as you know, art, like paintings, there is no finish line. Paintings only, paintings are never finished. They only find interesting places to stop.
Yeah, it's true. It's that's a super great perspective, because the only person you can learn and learn and learn and learn, but you have to put the time in.
Absolutely.
And you have to do the work. And the only person who can be you is you. And it doesn't. It's a long road.
Right.
But you can't get worse.
I love that. You can't get worse. Oh, I don't know. Well, over the long haul, you can't get worse. But, there are days I wake up and think, all of this, if I put it in my fireplace, I could probably heat my house for 2 days and get more money out of it than it'll ever come out of this crap I'm doing. But,
however, titanium white in the fire pit is one of the most glorious things you will ever see. I have to say, when it catches fire, the color that comes out of that white.
Well, and it releases all the negative energy out of the canvas that was in there. Anyways, you have one more question?
I had a question, but it should be maybe earlier, because 20 paintings in 2.5 days is a life changer. It's a life changer. It's a game changer.
All right.
How did you come up with that? Because I have seen that improve painters like nobody's business, and I could probably do that myself 4 or 5 times a year.
Everyone could, but
because it's amazing.
So I'm not 100% sure where this came from, but I'll tell you where I think it was. The impetus of this was born. So I took a Scott Christensen workshop many years ago, like 15, 20. Well, it's 20 years ago now, in Oregon, and we painted on the coast. And in a little sidebar, painting on the coast with Scott Christensen. First of all, let's go back just because podcast wise, whatever, or editing wise. So I took a class with Scott Christensen, and I asked you this about a breakout moment. This is my breakout moment. He made us write. Scott Christensen made us write a letter, prospectus, a note, or something. He said, in under 500 words, I want to know why you want to take this workshop. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Dude, you got to write about why and who are your influences and where do you want to go in art? And I'm like, this guy wants to weed out the weenies, all the people, the workshop junkies, the people who have money that just want to take a class. He wants real painters. So I thought that. So I wrote this thing and I was accepted to the workshop and I thought, oh my God, I got in. This is crazy. I'm one of the few. Well, first of all, there was 24 people in the class when I was there. And second of all, there was a whole lot of weenies in there anyways, me being probably the biggest weenie of all. But it was nothing. I think he tried that and it didn't work. And people are just going to show up and you're going to take their money. Anyways, I go to the Scott Christensen workshop thinking, well, I'm one of the few. So at least I'm somewhere. And I thought I'm well on my way up this ladder of success. I got to that class and was sorely kicked in the ass. And I realized, not only am I not even on the bottom rung of the ladder, I can't jump up and reach the ladder. I'm so far behind. I took all this crap to Oregon to paint with. I looked like a joke. I didn't know how to plein air paint. Like I plein air painted, but I had all this junk and buckets of stuff. And these guys are coming with one little knapsack and boop, boop, boop. And they'd set up and they'd do this little painting. Oh, show offs. And I got this French easel and all this equipment and umbrellas and like helicopters are bringing food to me. And I'm like, oh my God, it was a disaster. And they're like, you brought all that down to the beach? They're like all laughing at me. And it was a joke. And then this guy, Tim Deibler, who's a killer good painter out of Colorado, he's got to be still around. Timmy, if you're out there and ever remember, we took a workshop together. He painted a beach painting there. And I'm painting away and I've got this thing. I'm like, oh, this is kind of good. I'm like, I've never really painted the ocean ever in my life. So I'm like, it's okay. And I look over and he has this painting and I'm like, oh my God, you painted that? And I'm like, I have to go home. This is it. I'm a disaster. I literally took 14 days I painted with Scott Christensen and came home with my tail between my legs going, that was the worst thing ever. One of the worst workshops I ever took because Scott didn't teach me as much as I wanted. He had too many people and he couldn't get to you. And there was a whole lot of that didn't go on. But I will tell you, I learned more out of that workshop than I could have ever learned in any other workshop. And it wasn't about painting. It was, I got to get better equipment. I got to get this shit together. I need to learn my values. I need to learn how to fix it. So all that being said, 20 paintings comes out of this workshop. How does it come? Pouring rain one day, we can't go out to paint. And he's like, well, I got an exercise we can do inside. So he said, I'm going to teach you guys how to learn what the essence of a painting is. What do you need to do? So he'd go, you have 10 minutes to paint a painting. And he'd put this picture up for 10 minutes. And he'd put it up for 3 minutes. And then he'd turn it off for 5 minutes. He'd turn the thing off. And you had to paint for 5 minutes with no picture. And it's like, oh my God. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Where's the photo? I need the photo. And so here you are, 8 minutes. Then he'd turn the picture on for 1 minute. So you had 1 minute to look at this photo. He'd turn it back on and you'd go, man, you learned what you needed to know, what you needed to look for in that photo. What do I need to make this painting work? The minute that came on, you'd go, my shapes are too big, my thing is too small, my value's off. And then you'd turn it off again and you had 1 minute at the end to paint it without the picture. And I was like, oh my God, I learned so fast what you need to see in this photo and what you need to get. So out of that was this thing that I went home, and then you got this thing where people will tell you, if you do something for 18 minutes a day, 3 times a week, and do it for 1 year, you will be at 90% better than anyone else in the world. And I'm not sure who said that. There's a book about that or a guy, and it might have been one of those David and Goliath dude and the 10,000 hour dude. I forget his name.
Malcolm Gladwell.
Malcolm.
That dude.
Yeah. So all of that was born out of that. I ended up doing 100 paintings in 20 minutes, and I did them over about a 4-month period. And the astronomical amount of growth I learned in that amount of time blew my mind. I was so confident in color mixing, putting paint down. It was stellar. And I said, I have to find a way to do this. So I first taught this first class and I did it. It was a bit of a disaster, the first one. Second one was better. Well, now they're lining up for this. And everybody keeps telling me this is the most amazing thing. It's unbelievable. So I go back and I liken this to baseball, bat. Put 3 rings on your bat before you bat, and the batters do this and they swing it around. So that's 20 minutes. Right? You swing it around with this on. When you take this off, that bat feels really light. It doesn't feel as heavy when you go to bat. So if you learn to paint in 20 minutes, when you go to paint in 40 minutes, it's amazing what you can do in 40 minutes when you're used to 20 minutes. So that's where that came from. But thank you for
That's
saying
amazing.
Because you've taken that 2 or 3 times.
A couple of times, and it is amazing. It kind of brings you back to the essentials. Griffin, son number 2, child number 3, played baseball at a really high level for a while. And there was a book that he read that I read also just because it was interesting, because I read everything that's put in front of me, just so you know, geek moment. But it was about, you can't assess how good you are by the outcome. You can only assess how good you are by how much effort you put in. And you're never going to be the best because there's always something and somebody out there who knows more than you do. But the fact that you keep putting on your shoes, that you keep picking up the bat or your brush, and you come back and you come back and you come back, you know, just that constant striving to be better at what it is that you do is the thing that will separate you in the end. And I don't know if that's true because, you know, the end has not happened yet. And
There is no, that's what I said.
is there an end? No.
There's no finish line.
It's probably the only thing out there in the universe that you can probably always learn something at. And what a fantastic thing for somebody who loves to learn anything. Like,
You know,
what
for
a
lack of a-
fantastic thing
for
that you
lack-
can learn for the rest of your life.
For lack of a gender thing, many times been written, art is an old man's game.
Woman's.
So I told you for lack of it. Art is an old person's game. I'm sorry, but
Thank you.
art is an old person's game. Like it really is. You can, I mean, this is not physical, it's mental. And your mental ability gets way better as you get older, more so than anyone else knows. So, yeah. There's no finish line and you're only in competition with yourself. Man, my God, it's just, right?
And eventually, what's going to come to you comes to you. And it doesn't mean that you have to have 27,000 million followers. It doesn't mean that you have to be liked. It's about who do you connect with?
Well, yeah, it's who you connect with. And the more, like you said, the more you're open, the more you'll connect.
Yep.
And I'll put this last saying out there because this is my favorite saying though. When you're 20, you worry what everyone thinks about you. When you're 40, you don't care what anyone thinks about you. And when you're 60, you realize nobody was ever thinking about you anyways.
Right.
They don't care. They were never thinking about you. It's not, you know, nobody even cares. You're going about your day doing whatever, worried that everyone's thinking this. Nobody is thinking about you.
And now
you're not even on their radar.
And now that we're 60, no one's even looking at us. That's fine. Thank you.
No, it's
Don't
awesome.
look at me.
No, and you can go to Walmart in track pants and nobody gives a... Anyways, no. Yeah.
No, they don't.
They don't.
No, they don't. They really don't. So Sue's painting fashion is disgusting sweatpants and holy jeans.
My next door neighbor just moved in. He says to me last night, he came over for a beer. He says to me, so when we went for an open house to look at the house, he said, I'm pretty sure it was you walked across the street to the guy's garage in your socks with a drink in your hand. And he thought, this might be a good neighborhood. He's obviously drinking and wearing and walking in your socks. And anyways, he moved in and now we're best friends. So anyways, that's it. Okay, Sue Contini, the best ever. Thank you for coming for Potato Water Thursday and drinking potato water grape wine. We love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I love you too.
All right.